Hi, I thought I'd go over the oval systems for the upcoming WCR season in IndyCar. The first thing we'll notice in the black box is very similar to what we saw on road, and that is the Supercapacitor SoC and the deploy used. So if we go ahead and start accelerating, we'll notice these lights here on the left and the right are full up, as we are at nearly 100% charge, and you'll notice it here in the black box. If I press and hold the Regen deploy button, then you'll notice that charge go down, the SoC go down, the lights on the steering wheel go down, and you'll notice also the left side of the steering wheel here is going to turn green. I'm flashing it a little bit so you can see it, and that is showing that we are deploying from the battery. Just like on road, you only have a certain amount of deploy per lap, and just like road, these values are changed by these. You can just leave it at 1. We can go over why you might want to change the regen level here in a second, but the deploy level at 1 is probably fine. And you'll notice here in the steering wheel we have our 36% shown as well, so whenever we cross the start-finish line here in a second, you'll notice that tick back down to 0, as that is a per lap bank that we can dip into. So I'll use a little bit more, we're up to 37%, and now we're back down to 0. So if you're, coming from road, you're like, how do I gain and deploy? And the thing is that it's a completely different way than road. Obviously, if you lift off the gas and or brake, you're going to find yourself regenerating your deploy, but the thing is, like on oval, and we're probably not going to be doing that, right? So how do we get our SoC back? And that is where a different keybind than what we saw in road comes in, and that is the HYS regen hold. So it acts like a brake almost for your car. If I press and hold that button, you'll notice the red light on the steering wheel there, indicating that we are regenning. And you'll notice our deploy SoC is going up, and we're back up to 100%. So now I can use it as I wish. And that button, again, acts kind of like a brake. It diverts some of your horsepower into the battery. And so let's say I'm coming up to a car and I don't want to run into it. I can either lift off, that works, or let's say I was a little bit less aggressive of a braking maneuver. I can press and hold that. I use some battery first. I can press and hold that regen hold, and that will, you can hear the engine kind of labor a little bit, and that is from me holding that button down. And again, you can change the braking amount here with the regen level, so I'm down to the lowest 0.5. You'll notice the engine's still climbing in RPMs because it's not really using that much power. But if I go back up to 1, you'll notice you just immediately hear the engine will start to have some problems and be a little bit labored. Moving on to push to pass. This is pretty simple on oval. It doesn't exist. There is no push to pass system at all. You only have the hybrid and supercapacitor to worry about. And the other thing that is not in oval is the tire compound. You notice I'm on the white labeled tires, but that's it. There's no red labeled alternates or primaries or anything. There is just tires, so no need to worry about that at all. So moving on, this is where really the skill of oval comes in. And IndyCar is very special in that it acts very different in dirty air in comparison like a NASCAR. If you're used to NASCAR, this car acts completely different in dirty air or on worn tires, and the car will drastically change how it feels over the course of the stint. So that's why we have a bunch of settings here, 3 settings in fact, in order to change how the car handles. So the first thing we'll notice is the ARBF, that is the front ARB. As I mentioned in the road video, it's kind of there's some nuance to it, but usually higher number in the front means less turn, lower number in the front means more turn, and we have the rear ARB, which again, kind of the opposite. More number means more turn, less number means less turn. So this would be maximum turn, and then this would be minimum turn. Again, there's nuance to it. I'm not going to go into detail, but that'll get you a good base to start. So the last thing we got to get into is the weight jacker. So again, actually going back to ARBs real quick. So that is a tool you can use. That is more of a overall tool you'll be using. Let's say this stint, I'm feeling a car feel a certain way. This whole stint, I'm feeling the car is a little understeery. I'm going to then maybe do this. That'll get it a little bit more, a little less understeer than I was having, and maybe I'm going to feel a little better. That's more of an overall stint option. Now the weight jacker, that is something that is very reactive. You need to be pretty comfortable with using the weight jacker, as that is something you probably be using often, especially let's say you're behind a car all of a sudden and your car starts understeering like crazy or oversteering like crazy or whatever it is, or your tires are starting to wear like crazy. That's where you gotta be really comfortable getting on that weight jacker and changing the car's balance. So the short of it is more number, more turn. Easy as that. So less number, less turn, more number, more turn. So if we go down to negative 20 clicks, which is the minimum amount, let's speed up a little bit here. Let's actually get some speed going so you can actually see how this car rolls. So now I'm on minimum turning, and you'll notice the car is going to be understeering. The thing is, like, yeah, you can maybe make around the corners like this, but the thing is, I'm using a lot of wheel to get that car to turn, and the thing is, you're going to be wearing your tires a lot faster than your opponent. So obviously that's going to, and tire wear on oval is a very important thing. So you want to make sure that you're wearing your tires evenly and in a proper fashion. So obviously for a -20, like, it's safe. Like, I'm not worried about the car spinning out, but like I can't even go full throttle anymore. Like, the car is just too understeery here at -20 clicks. And again, 0 would be kind of the middle ground, obviously. That is the completely neutral car. So we'll notice here it's just going to turn a lot more. Yeah, I mean, we're getting so much more turn than that previous setting. And that's probably where I'd stay. Maybe I'd actually go maybe a little under, but I'd be somewhere in here right now. See, that's a little too little turning. Maybe I want to get a little more, but you get the point. The thing is, obviously, if there's -20 clicks, as you can guess, there's positive 20 clicks. But the problem is, as you can imagine, this can make you spin very quickly. Especially if you go too crazy with it, the car will start to react in very unpredictable ways. And the thing is that especially when it comes down to, again, with the height, it's not going to be as dramatic here because I'm on pretty fresh tires. I'm by myself, no dirty air. The thing is, though, if you're in a group, you'll notice really huge changes between these settings, and you need to make sure you're choosing the right one. And again, the weight jacker, you need to be very confident in changing it. Like, let's say you're in dirty air and the car is providing a ton of understeer. The thing is, like, you'll have to bump up the weight jacker and get the car to turn more. But the thing is, as soon as you're out of that draft, you'll need to get back on the weight jacker. And okay, I was using, let's say, 12 clicks because I was getting no turning. The thing is, now the car might be a little too oversteery because now you're out of that draft, and now the car is turning too much. So you gotta be quick with it. You gotta go back down to, let's say, 3 or 4 clicks, a more reasonable non-dirty air option, or vice versa with understeer. Again, you do not be wearing your tires outright. The other thing you'll notice is this halo here. We'll go over how to remove the halo, as well as just the different aero package. If you watch the road video, you'll notice this Indycar looks almost entirely different than that Indycar. There's a couple different configurations of it. You'll notice here the wing is very low and very small. If you look at the front of the car, you'll notice the front wing is just much smaller and much more dainty. So moving on, the couple settings we need to look at are the display, graphics to start here. The height obstructions halo is the minimum you need on the driving section to remove that halo. And then here's the keybinds that we had. So just like road, we had the HOAS deploy hold. Just like road, you're going to need to have that. That is the, let's go down to here, keybinds, car sub adjustments, down here. So just like road, you'll need HOAS boost hold. You'll need that. That is what deploys the battery, the supercapacitor. It deploys the supercapacitor, and that reduces your state of charge. And then to charge it back up on oval, again, on road, we just lift, we brake, we do normal things, but on oval, it doesn't really happen. So that's why we have the HOAS regen hold, where you can press and hold a second button, and that will increase your charge. It will put charge back into that supercapacitor, so you then can use it with your HOAS boost hold. And as you can see here, they're both hold buttons, so it's on you to press and hold that button to get the amount of charge deployed or regenerated. Moving up, the couple things we'll need to look at especially is, it's down here somewhere, I apologize. Here it is. Right, they call the weight jacker in the keybinds right spring set. That is something you'll need. Again, more number is more turn, and again, you need to be using it often. You can do it from the black box if you want to. I would probably recommend on ovals go ahead and having it bound. Remember, you can have custom profiles per car, and so there's a lot of stuff on IndyCar you don't need, like windshield wipers and headlight flashing. So you probably will have the buttons for all of this. The other thing I forgot to mention is the fuel maps. There's 8 different maps. It's the last option down here below weight jacker. And it's pretty straightforward. One is the most hungry, but it also is the fastest. 2 through 5 are just levels of fuel saving. From there to being, a little bit of fuel saving with most of the power. Obviously, you can go down to 5, which is going to be maximum fuel saving, but with the minimum amount of power. Other than one we'll get into in a second. This is the least amount of power that they would recommend in a race. It might be too much. Fuel saving, but again, that's up to you to decide. But for a race situation, this is the lowest amount of, or the highest amount of fuel saving you can go for. Apologies, I don't know why I did that. 6 and 7 are just throttle maps on 1. So 1, 6, and 7 are all identical. They just change how the throttle acts. You can read the manual in this car, which I would highly recommend to learn a little bit more about that. But 1 is just a very simple, what you'll probably be using, but if you need a little bit different throttle, you have that available to you. And then 8, you'll probably be using this one the most outside of the more traditional maps, and that is because it's a safety car map. The car is very slow. You'll notice the car does not accelerate anywhere near, where it was. And if I go up to 1, you can immediately see a pretty huge change. And a lot more power coming out of it. So just keep that in mind. If you're on a safety car, you hear the yellow flag is out, then you go ahead and bump it over. I should probably get this bound myself. And then now, I could barely even hold 5th gear in this, right? So that's the thing. You gotta have that available to you, because fuel saving and tire saving are so very important in Oval, and that's why we have so many things to counteract those forces between the ARBs, the weight jacket, the engine map, and then we also just have a little bit of fuel saving there with the supercapacitor. All right, see you guys on the track.